Good morning, citizens of Cleveland, Ohio. This is your host, Harris Trail, and alongside me, my co-host,
Chris Guccio. Today, we're coming to you from Channel 11 News. This morning, it is Tuesday, May 11th, 1961.
The weather today will be a fairly standard spring day. There's a high of 83 and a low of 64, and as you can see behind me, a little bit of rain. Just make sure to carry your umbrella with you.
So our first story today comes from a local bank where two fugitives escaped with $2 million. The fugitives are currently still on the run, and sources say they're driving a blue 1958 Cadillac Fleetwood. So be on the lookout. Their license plate is XEX124.
The law enforcement are all over the state. If you get anything on the case, please call law enforcement. They will help out with the situation, and we can crack down on these guys. We will keep you posted.
On a different note, we have just gotten word this afternoon that the final verdict on the Mapp Vs Ohio case. We will direct you to Yaneri, who will fill you in on the prerequisites of the case.
Hello, hi, I'm here inside Mrs. Mapp's house where the whole predicament went down. Ms. Mapp was suspected to be involved with the recent bombing of Don King. Because of this, local police officers asked to come and search the house. When Mapp resisted, the police officer left a few hours later to return with a fake search warrant.
Mrs. Mapp knew it was fake and began to resist. This ended up getting her handcuffed. While the cops found no evidence related to the Don King incident, they did find illicit pornographic books. Here is where the books were found. Just over there in a cabinet. Currently, they are in the hands of good men in the Supreme Court. Thank you for your time. I will redirect you back to Chris and Harris from Channel 11 now.
Mrs. Mapp was certainly acting suspicious, wasn't she, Chris?
She definitely was. Can you tell us what happened after the police got their hands on those books?
I have the rest of the story right here in front of me. I'll let you and all the rest of the audience know right after a quick commercial break.
Good morning, citizens. Hey, bro, chill out, bro. I was reading.
Watch where you're walking.
Bro, you on your phone. What do you want me to do? Hey, you're not
sure
chewing out of that thing, man. You're not chewing out of that thing. Purest water on earth.
Welcome back to Channel 11 News. It's your host, Harris Trail, along with my co-host, Chris Guccio. We're here to tell you about the Mapp vs. Ohio case.
For those just tuning in, Mrs. Mapp was taken to court for having possession of pornographic books in her house when it was searched by police. The police broke into her house without a correct search warrant. This is where the story begins to get very interesting.
Exactly. Mrs. Mapp was close to being convicted for having these books in her possession, but the fake search warrant from the police didn't validify the evidence found.
Yes.
Mrs. Mapp is stating that she didn't know about the books at all and that they were left behind by the previous landlord. She also believes the case is set against her because of the fact that the officer's evidence is from the means of a fake search warrant in the first place. According to the Fourth Amendment, the books cannot be held against her for that.
They cannot. But didn't the case go to the Supreme Court?
Yes, the case did go to the Supreme Court. We'll actually send you over to our reporter, Presley Ayers, to fill you in on what happened prior to going to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Thanks, Harris. The Mapp vs. Ohio case has just been settled a few hours ago. The news has shocked all of Cleveland, and we are proud to bring it to you before anyone else. The final verdict is that Mrs. Mapp was released due to lack of evidence of doing anything wrong. She is still under the investigation of involvement with the Don King bombing because of a local tip the officers had received before the case. That is something Channel 11 News will continue to update you on. For now, the books in Mrs. Mapp's house are not considered evidence because of the fact that there was no legitimate paper signed allowing the local Ohio officers to enter her household. This is still a very controversial topic, but as of today, Mrs. Mapp excised the Fourth Amendment all the way back to freedom. Let us know how you feel about this case by sending Channel 11 your opinions. We are going to be highlighting some of the local residents' feelings into tomorrow's show. Thanks for having me today, Harris and Chris. Back to you.
It sounded like Mrs. Mapp got a pretty big break today. I mean, I think all of this would have probably been avoided if she had just not resisted the cops in the first place.
I completely agree. If we can take anything away from today, it's that resisting the police can take a small problem and make it a huge one. So let's remember Cleveland. Stay safe, always come back to Channel 11 News for the daily reports, and that's what you need to do.
Up next, on a lighter note, President John F. Kennedy is 4 months into his second term, and everything seems to be going well. He is scheduled this week to meet with several...
Yo,
Hey, bro, chill out, man. I was reading.
Dude, watch your walk.
Dude, I am, bro. Bro, chill out, bro. You've been acting a little crazy.
No, I haven't.
You're not chewing out of nesting, man. You're not chewing out of nesting.
Man, I don't want this thing.